Good evening, everyone, and this is the last stream before the holidays. And I'm working on chapter 23. I've been working on this scene all evening so far, so I'm just going to carry on working on it straight away. But everyone is doing well. Just making sure the sound's working. Yes, okay, that's good. Need the script back up. There we go. So yeah, this is a scene with Mara and Luke. Sherry, hello, welcome. It's always good to see you. Yeah, so this is a scene between Luke and Mara. At the moment, Director Spirit, hello, welcome. Yeah, so I've placed the characters, I've put the motion capture data on them, done a little bit of clean up, but it's not quite finished yet. For example, her blaster is not pointing at Luke, and it should be. But I'm going to go through the dialogue first, and then fix things like direction of her blaster. Yeah. So let's just carry on from where I was. At before the stream. So.
You know better than that. You know better than that.
The animation isn't quite synced up between the two characters, so that's another thing I need to look at. But I'm going to add all the dialogue in first to make sure I get it synced up correctly. Vault Dweller 64. This has been awesome. Thank you for your dedication and love for this book. Well, thank you so much. I think like many of you, I grew up with the book, and the trilogy. So it does mean a lot to me, and bringing it to life like this is it's kind of a dream project, really. It's the way I imagine Peter Jackson must have felt working on the Lord of the Rings films.
What about Card? I thought he still wanted me kept alive.
Yeah. So, I've been thinking about it all day, actually. This is a project that really means a lot to me. And I was listening to some of the dialogue and remembering how I imagined it when I was a kid. And now I'm actually bringing it to life.
We all want things we can't have.
So, yeah. Sherry, thank you. I'm glad you liked what I just said. Paul Quantum Blues, the real sequel trilogy. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying my work. Let me just check. I don't think OBS is picking up the sound from the... Or is it? Let's just do a quick test. Oh, it is.
Wait a minute. You said you needed to find out what Card told the Imperials. What if I could get you a secure comm channel to him?
There we go. So you can hear what they're saying as well. I don't know if that's going to be distracting with me talking or not.
Wait a minute. You said you needed to find out powerful leaders. You to Kanye also.
Okay, all good. That's good to know. Sometimes when I get really absorbed in the work, I forget to talk, which isn't really good when I'm streaming. Yeah. There's an issue here with her leg. Her foot's twisted around. I don't know why it keeps doing that. It's been doing it on all of the motion capture data. But obviously my leg doesn't do that. So I'm going to have to do some investigation.
How?
Channel to him.
How? How?
I remember reading Star Wars Inside interview with Tim Thrawn. He said that the reason his character sounded so authentic on the page was due to him putting the original films on. I can imagine that. And he only had the original trilogy to go on when he wrote the books, so he just watched through them multiple times. Cassette tape, so just could listen to it on the car trips. I had that too. Actually, I think I still have them somewhere. Obviously, not going to look for them now. I didn't understand the concept of abridged audiobooks at the time, but it's read by Dennis Lawson, who's the original actor for Wedge. So that was good. I must have listened to that so many times, especially in the car. I was the kid. He recorded it off the VHS player. Oh, the original trilogy. Okay.
Does the comlink have enough range to reach back to base without the satellite boosting or anything?
I guess it makes sense that he'd do that. Matthew, Merry Christmas and hope all's not too long before the next chapter. I don't have everything I need to complete the next chapter just yet. This is actually for chapter 23. But I've been working on chapters further ahead that I do have everything for. So even there's a little bit of wait between 21 and 22, once in the future there'll be less of a wait for those chapters because the work's already done on them. But I don't want to release them out of order either, because that would be weird. Yeah, Merry Christmas. And Happy Holidays if you don't celebrate Christmas.
There's a balloon that can take the antenna high enough to get above the forest damping, but it's non-directional. The Imperials can listen in. Yeah,
it was this kid on the vacation, right? He said it was this kid on the vacation, but it helped him write the books because he got to focus on the actors like line delivery and speech patterns. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's a good way to get that, just to listen to it without being distracted by the visuals of watching the film. because all you've got to go on is the way they sound. I have a Lego Star Wars Advent Calendar. You know, I have the same one. Have you opened your one for today?
I can encrypt it, so no one else will get anything out of it. Or rather, R2 can.
When I was little, I had the Star Wars audiobook, but be sure to turn the page when you hear RTP like this. Does anyone else have that book? I'm sure that it's here on YouTube somewhere. Which audiobook are you talking about? The original film, or Heir to the Empire, or one of the other ones? So I had a few. I had the radio plays, the ones about 6 hours long for each film of the trilogy. Well, they didn't do Return of the Jedi until later, and that was shorter, but still good. I had Heir to the Empire, and I had Dark Empire 2. That was a full cast reading. So was the radio plays actually as well. I listened to all of them so many times. I got 5 more to go. Me too. I had the ATST today in the Advent Calendar. Flippy, it's good to see you. I'm sorry you weren't feeling well. You can always catch up on previous streams, but it's good to see you here, and I'm glad you're feeling much better.
Except for one minor detail. If the encrypt is that good, how is Card supposed to decrypt it? Except for one minor detail. If the encrypt is that good, how is Card supposed to decrypt it? How is Card supposed to decrypt it?
Timing's about right for that one. I can always refine it later. This is at that moment just about getting the actual dialogue in. Planet of the Hoojibs, Droid World Plus Original Trilogy. I don't think I had those ones myself. Yeah, so it's almost Christmas. This is probably going to be my last stream before the holidays. Well, it would be because Christmas Day's on Sunday and I stream on Mondays. But I hope everyone is has some good plans. It's from 1979. Okay, yeah, I think I might have missed that. Thrawn's going to have a blue Christmas. Well, actually, my friend who voices Mara Jade, you can hear her voice in this particular stream as I'm working on this. She and I always wish each other a Merry Sithmas.
The computer in my X-Wing will do it for him. Someone is bound to check on the ship eventually.
just about to put one of her next bits of dialogue in. Lines of dialogue, not bits. Thanks for doing this. It's like a year-round Christmas present. Well, I'm glad you think so. I used to get early on lots of questions about how I made the series, and so I thought, well, why don't I just stream doing it? So I got started with that, and it's nice to come on here every week and talk to you guys and talk about what the latest progress is on Heir to the Empire.
Funny, isn't it? How this scheme just happens to require that I keep both of you alive a while longer.
And I know I do the same thing quite a bit. I mean, I did motion capture data, go through that several times in a row. But hang on. One of Mara's lines seems to be missing. Oh. Is it here?
Funny, isn't it? How this scheme just happens to require that I keep both of you alive a while longer.
So I'm just distracted looking. I can't seem to find the file for the next piece of Mara dialogue. It is the last line of dialogue in the scene, so what I might do is just ignore it for now and then add it in later, because I don't want to spend the stream. Oh, hang on. There it is. Never mind, I found it. I didn't want to spend the stream searching through files. Let's see.
Come on. We need to find a clearing to send that balloon up before nightfall.
Let's put it there.
Come on. Come on. We need to find a clearing to send that balloon up before nightfall.
Great, that's done. Now, save it. And I'm going to catch up with the chat. These streams are so much fun. You have such a great community here where we can all talk about Star Wars. It's a nice escape from the busy and often annoying world that we live in. Well, I'm glad this is a... Like, you think so. And yeah, we kind of have a relaxed discussion about Star Wars here, which is nice. And I'm glad of each and every one of you. And not everyone makes it every week. But everyone who does come, no matter if it's just once or twice, or those who come every week, it's always nice to see all of you, and I enjoy chatting with you. Yara from Mandarin plus a Bounty Hunter double pack. What? I have 3 figures and all those gifts from the retro. Oh, I see. I missed that bit of this conversation. Those are good figures to get. We get to watch the magic behind the awesome chapters, which makes it even better. Yep. And sometimes I include you in helping me out with those as well, like the lighting for Lando's lounge. Do what you got to do. People are on the stream to watch the magic. Thank you. Amazing stuff and just getting better by the day. Well, that's very kind of you. See, this is one other reason that I like doing the streams, is because you're always so kind to me. Quite the same for us. Well, thank you. Right, so I'm going to play through what I've got. Obviously there's no scene here, it's just the two characters. And the animation doesn't sync up. Somehow Luke has a delay, so I'm going to try and figure out where that starts and then fix it. I have to pick the colours for lounge, that was fun. And the lights as well. It's the purple lights.
Thank you for not turning me over.
Save it. There was nothing altruistic about it. I can't walk into their arms until I know the story Card has to spin about what happened. 3 days.
3 days to what?
Civilization.
I need to give her a data pad.
Hilliard City, which is about as close as this planet gets to it.
And how many of us will be going there?
That's the question, isn't it? Can you give me any reason why I should bother taking you?
Sure. R2.
Don't be absurd, it knows too much.
He also has...
Right. That's where...
Sure, R2.
Be absurd. Be absurd, it knows too much.
Yeah, so he needs to be pointing R2
Sure.
there.
Don't be absurd.
I had the Mara Jade figure from the 1998 Power of the Force. I think I had her too. I don't know where she is at the moment, but I kept her in the box. I'm sorry I missed that live stream. That was quite a while ago, Sherry. I wouldn't worry about it. There are going to be other streams in the future where I get asked for people's input. So,
It knows too much.
you'll get your chance. And I'm sure you've contributed discussions as well. I'm trying to think back. The lights weren't the only one, and I'm sure you've been involved, Sherry.
Reason why I should bother taking you.
Sure. R2.
Right, that's... I also had a Grand Admiral Thrawn figure. I have him. I've got several Grand Admiral Thrawn figures. I got the Power of the Force one.
Bother taking you.
Sure. R2.
I got the Black Series, which I can see right now. And they released a Rebels Thrawn
Sure.
in the Rogue One collection, which I've got here as well. Although it seems to slip down behind my second monitor. Oh, sorry. I've got the Thrawn miniatures from the Wizards of the Coast miniatures game, and I've got the one for Imperial Assault. That one I had to paint. So I bought a number of other miniatures so I could learn to paint on them first and do a good job on Thrawn because I wanted him to look really good. And I got the Lego Thrawn minifigure when they released the Phantom Shuttle from Rebels as a Lego set because Thrawn came with it. And Falmara, I do have Thrawn. My favourite Thrawn is actually the Micro Machines. Oh yeah, the Micro Machines. I've got that somewhere too. Actually, I can see that over there because they made it look. They released it in a box that looked like the book. Yeah, it's over there on my shelf. As for Missing Mara, next year they're releasing a Black Series Mara Jade figure. I believe it's released in April. They announced it about a month or so ago. I have one pre-ordered, and she looks really good. So you might want to check that out and make sure you get a copy of get your hands on one of those.
R2.
Right, so before I this may slow down the stream. So before I start messing around with Luke's timing, I need to smooth out the animation. I'm going to do it all in one go before I chop it up because it's easier that way. So I don't know what this is going to do to the stream because it does tend to be quite demanding. I have the Lego 312 and I'm mad that because they messed up the rank. Yes, I noticed that too. I don't know what happened there, but you can unlock Thrawn, or you can buy the DLC for this Lego Skywalker Saga, and the Rebels DLC has Thrawn in it, and he still has the wrong rank in it. So hopefully when he shows up in Ahsoka, they'll release another minifigure with the correct rank on him. So I'm just doing this, smoothing that. I don't know if it shows up on the stream because it's sometimes it doesn't do that. But I'm just basically running a smooth process over Luke's motion so that he moves a little bit more naturally, because there's a slight twitchiness that it's very subtle, but it is there, and it's nice to not have that. So I think that's done almost. My brother gave me a 3D printed miniature of Thrawn that he made and painted for me. Well, you have a very nice brother.
Bother taking you.
Sure. R2.
Don't be absurd. It knows too much.
He also has sense.
Yeah. He's looking better. Don't know what happened there.
Sure, you're not letting Sure. R2.
Right. We're going to create a break there. Basically, it's cutting. This blue bar is the motion data on the timeline. So we can cut that bit out. Bring that forward.
Sure. R2. Sure. R2.
Don't.
R2.
Taking you.
Sure. R2.
Don't be absurd. It knows too much.
That's better.
He also has sensors that can spot predators before they get close enough to strike. And he'll be able to watch while we're sleeping.
We?
I don't think he'd be willing to protect you unless I'm along.
I can get along without him. And I certainly don't need you.
Are you sure you're not letting your emotions get in the way of your judgment?
Let me tell you something, Skywalker.
Thank you, Flippy. Yeah. Well, he did something nice for you, so it's worth acknowledging. It's also going to be able to turn the measure over, include the Emperor. The Emperor is actually out now. I've seen him on the shelf because his robe is actual fabric. They didn't make a. They could have made a solid.
Tell you something, Skywalker.
Molded piece for his
I've
robe.
wanted to kill you For a
But
long
no, they went
time,
the fabric route, which is good, I
dreamed
think.
about your death every night.
But yeah, you can get him now. I
Dreamed it,
think
plotted
he's just been released.
Run through 1,000 scenarios. You can call it a cloud on my judgment if you want, but I'm used to it. It's the closest thing I've got to a permanent companion.
What did I do to you?
You destroyed my life. It's only fair that I destroy yours.
Will killing me bring your old life back?
You know better than that.
What about Card? I thought he still wanted me kept alive.
We all want things we can't.
Alright, so Luke is out to think again.
Destroy your.
But that's okay, I can do exactly the same thing. When the new Mara figure was announced, that came as a complete surprise. But I'm really looking forward to
It's only fair that I destroy yours.
Will killing me bring your old life back?
and I believe, yes, so they released a Black Series Luke from Heir to the Empire, and it's in a special box that looks, I'm not going to say it looks like the book, because I believe they put one of the comic covers on the front of it, and the Mara figure is doing the same thing, but it's for the cover for one of the Dark Force Rising comics.
Will killing me bring your old life back?
You know better than that.
Will killing me bring your old life back?
You know better than that.
What about Card? I thought he still wanted me kept alive.
We all want things we can't have.
Wait a minute.
Yes, he does. Which you can take out and put on Thrawn.
Wait a minute. You said you needed to find out what Card told the Imperials. What if I could get you a secure comm channel to him?
How?
Does the comm link have enough range to reach back to base without the satellite boosting or anything?
There's a balloon that can take the antenna high enough to get above the forest damping, but it's non-directional. The Imperials can listen in.
I can encrypt it, so no one else will get anything out of it. Or rather, R2 can.
Except for one minor detail. If the encrypt is that good, how is Card supposed to decrypt it?
The computer in my X-Wing will do it for him. Someone is bound to check on the ship eventually.
Funny, isn't it? How this scheme just happens to require that I keep both of you alive a while longer. Come on. We need to find a clearing to send that balloon up before nightfall.
Okay, I'm really pleased with how that just turned out. Obviously there's still a few issues, but this is coming along really well. Yeah, so sorry, I got distracted by the scene. But yeah, the Black Series Luke does have an East Lemiri. I do have that Luke as well, actually. I received that for the Christmas present last year. Also on my shelf. I haven't taken him out of the box, because he's kind of a special figure. But it kind of makes me wonder who's going to be in The Last Command. Right, so let's give Mara her datapad, because that's something she's missing, and then I can work on fixing hers. Thanks, heads up on her, on the air figures. I didn't even think that. I think Hasbro likes money, and they've seen that there is a market for Legends stuff. They've done some other Legends figures as well. I believe there was a Crimson Empire one, and there's some Knights of the Old Republic figures, all Black Series, so they're released recently. There's a Revan, and there's a Light Revan, and there's a Zelbar, and I believe there's a Bastila. Um, I'm hoping they'll do a HK-47. I'd really like a figure of him. Admiral Moo, welcome. Just looking for the data pad. Data pad. In the wrong hand, but that doesn't matter. Because all I got to do is reposition it and set it to be attached to that hand. Then I'll reposition it. I'm also going to make it a bit smaller because I feel like this is a data pad that is more phone size. There we go. Because she kind of stores it in her pocket or one of her pouches. Haven't quite figured that bit out yet. There we go. Right, let's bring up the animation tool so I can adjust the way her fingers are gripping it, because at the moment they're not. Right, that would fall straight out of her hand if she was really carrying it. So nice and easy. Just sort out the thumb. There we go.
Thank you for not turning me over.
Save it. There was nothing altruistic about it. I can't walk into their arms until I know the story Card has to spin about what happened. 3 days.
I did see the trailer for that. I might give it a try over the Christmas holidays. At the moment, I didn't want to be distracted too much from working on this, but I'd like to give it a go.
Thank you for not turning me over.
Save it.
Right, so I think the best way to handle this. I think I'm going to go through and adjust the way she is looking and aiming her blaster at Luke, because sometimes she is, sometimes she is not. And obviously she needs to be. She's not going to let him out of her sight, and that blaster's going to stay on him, because she's just looking for any excuse to pull that trigger. let's start at the beginning. There, she's fine.
Thank you for not turning me over.
Save it. There was nothing altruistic about it. I can't walk into their arms until I know the story Card has to spin about what happened. 3 days.
That's where
3
she aims
days.
a different direction. So we'll start there.
Days.
No, we won't. We can do it a bit closer, and there's still a bit. That's where we're starting. Yeah.
Days.
Turns there. So let's have her arm. Move it like that. So she's still aiming at him. Let's play that back and have a look.
Days.
3 days to what?
Civilization.
And she goes back the other way. Karkatan was another expanded universe figure I missed in my teenage. Yeah, I'm afraid I missed the Karkatan one.
3 days to what?
I believe I have some of the miniatures again from that miniatures game that Wizards of the Coast did, but of course they did so many miniatures.
3 days to what?
Civilization.
The expanded universe was
failure.
a good source for them to draw upon, given how many expansions they did for that set, for that game. And while I can't claim I had to have a complete set of everything, I did get the important ones, like
City.
Thrawn,
Which is about as close as this planet gets to it.
Karkatan,
And how many of us?
and so on.
Gets to it. Is about as close as this planet gets to it.
Not sure what happened there. I've just had a message saying OBS disconnected. Saying OBS disconnected. But it looks like it's back working again, so I don't know what happened there. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. I've never had it before. Briefly it did, okay. Well, at least it's back. We're back now, and that Weird Kids was nuts for cool characters. It really was. I didn't get to play it as often as I'd like, but I still just liked having those figures collections. Video glitch briefly, but it's fine now. Good. It's never happened before. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
City.
Play through
Which
this.
is about as close as this planet gets to it.
And how many of us will be going there?
That's the.
I just bought them. My other friends had tapped out by then. Yeah. I had a hard time convincing my friends they wanted to play the game. I had a few that were happy to, but I do miss that game though. It was fun to collect. And Legion and Imperial Assault, they're fine, but they just don't have the same number of characters.
That's the question, isn't it? Can you give me any reason why I should bother taking you?
Sure. Art. Sure. Art.
Reason why I should bother taking you.
Sure. R2.
Don't be absurd, it knows too much.
He also has sensors that can spot predators before they get close enough to strike. And he'll be able to watch while we're sleeping.
We?
I don't think he'd be willing to protect you unless I'm along.
I can get along without him, and I certainly don't need you.
Are you
I'm enjoying this scene so much that I forgot to talk. Did you ever do the space? Because they did a space spin-off game as well. Only one set though, which is a shame because there were so many ships they could have included but didn't.
Certainly don't need you.
Are you sure you're not letting your emotions get in the way of your judgment?
Let me tell you something, Skywalker. I've wanted to kill you for a long time. I dreamed about your death every night. I dreamed it, plotted it, run through 1,000 scenarios. You can call it a cloud on my judgment if you want, but I'm used to it. It's the closest thing I've got to a permanent
Brought in the stars, got the Chimera and the new Legion. Yeah, I got the Chimera for Armada. It's pretty much unbeatable.
But I'm used to it.
If you use it right. I did play with one of my friends. He got into the Rebel faction. So obviously it makes sense that we would fight each other. But I think it's an expensive game, which makes it tricky to actually find more people to play with.
It's the closest thing.
I'm just fixing a little issue there.
But I'm used to it. It's the closest thing I've.
There we go. Legion, yeah. I bought an expansion for the core set for Legion early on in the pandemic because I got into Imperial Assault, and early on in the pandemic I started painting. I decided to learn to paint the figures. I also, because I had a Thrawn figure as well, as a way to keep busy when you couldn't go anywhere. So I went through all my Imperial Assault figures, and of course they're hard to get now because the game's not really. They don't make any new content for it. I mean, they still print the figures, but not in huge quantities. And of course, with the pandemic, everything was shut down, so no news deliveries or anything like that. So I found a reasonably priced copy of the Legion core set and bought that, so I had more things to paint. I have never played the game though. I'd like to. X-Wing, yeah, that was fun, but I agree they made it too complicated. But I have a huge collection of X-Wing. Amazon once for Black Friday put loads of X-Wing stuff ridiculously cheap. Like I managed to get some Rebel transports and the Corvette and the Raider for the normal price of one transport. I wish they'd do that offer again because I just bought loads of stuff. And of course it's really hard to transport all of that, so I've never really used any of those big ships, but they make great models. Really simple Star Wars game is Star Wars Risk. It's 2-player. The goals are different for each player. It's not like the Risk very much. It's really fun. I have to look into that. I like the TIE Fighter game. Those were fun live streams. Half of us would be role playing a little. Yeah, I remember those role play battles on the stream. That was fun. The models are excellent. They really are. I actually considered when
I'm used to it. It's the closest thing.
So I think it's pretty well documented that Heir to the Empire was going to be a test. It started off as a little test project just to see if I could improve my skills of the space battle. I seriously considered using the X-Wing and Armada models to do a model based battle instead. Because the downside is not all the ships that I'd need are available. And then I thought, it's too much work. So this is why I went back to doing it animated. And I think this worked out. Maybe sometime I'll give it a shot. Right, so let's see where we are
on
here.
my judgment if you want, but I'm used to it. It's the closest thing I've got to a permanent companion.
What did I...
It's the closest thing.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's hard to transport those army builders the more you get into it. Yeah, it really is. I had a case. Oh, I still do. And you can put a reasonable number of the fighters in. But it's still no good for the big ships. And yeah, never mind. I still like them and I'm glad I've got them. I'm super late but slow. That's alright, welcome. My dream would be a digital conversion of X-Wing and Rider like they've done for other board games like Wingspan and... Yeah, when Fantasy Flight Game announced that they were doing...
a permanent companion.
They opened their interactive digital studio, I was really hoping X-Wing would be one of the games that got that treatment. Or Armada, but it could have been so much fun. Of course the studio's gone now. But we do have some hope because... I forget the name of the studio now, but it's made up of former Firaxis developers who worked on Civilization and the XCOM games. The remake of the XCOM games. And they are working on a Star Wars game. It's going to be... All they've said is a turn-based strategy game. And that's it. That's all they've said about it. We don't even have a name for it yet. Hopefully we'll find out more at Celebration. But I'm hoping it will have some of those X-Wing and Armada elements.
It's the closest thing I've got to a permanent companion.
What did I do to you?
You destroyed my life. It's only fair that I destroy yours.
Will killing me bring your old life back?
You know better than that.
What about Card? I thought he still wanted me kept alive.
Oops. Too far.
You destroyed my life. It's only fair that I destroy yours.
Will killing me bring your old life back?
You know better than that.
That would be an ideal RTS game. I can't seem to correct tagging, but hello. Tagging is really weird on YouTube. I haven't quite figured it out either, because sometimes it works, sometimes not. And I don't get it. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it's going to be
You know better than
like
that.
XCOM. And I'd kind of prefer it to be space-based focused, but if you get ground, I'll still play it. Even better would be ground and space like Empire at War, but with... As long as they do both of them really well. What I don't want them to do is the first XCOM remake had a really lazy...
You know better than that.
What about
combat
Card? I thought he still wanted me kept
screen.
alive.
We all want things we can't have.
So I hope they don't do that. I hope we get a decent space combat mode in it. No one's really done space-based, turn-based in a big way. Yeah, the best example I've seen is... Oh, you beat me to it. The Battlestar Galactica game. If she sort of slammed her hands forward when she said Luke ruined her life, she could keep the gun on him. She could. I think what I'm going to do though is just focus on her head so you don't really see where her arms are going.
Bring your old life back?
You know better than that.
What about Card? I thought he still wanted me kept alive.
We all want things we can't have.
Wait a minute.
If they did something like that Battlestar Galactica game, but Star Wars, and gave it a bigger budget, that would be great. I think there's a lot of potential there. But I guess we're going to be waiting until Celebration to find out more, because that seems to be the place that's going to make sense that they reveal more about it.
We can't have.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
That kind of broke it. Let's undo. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is cheat.
Things we can't have.
Five. I thought I still wanted me kept alive.
Right, so let's mark her position here on the timeline. Excuse me. Let's go have a quick drink of water. I had a quick snack before I started streaming. It's got a bit of a crumb stuck in my throat. I think that got it. Right, so I cheated.
We all want things we can't have.
Wait a minute.
I think that worked. Because moving her arm kind of broke where her hand was. Her other hand is coming up, so this is easier.
We all want things.
So what I'm going to do here is change that.
Have.
Wait a minute. You said you needed to find out what Card told the Imperials. What if I could get you a secure comm channel to him?
How?
Does the comlink have enough range to reach back to base without the satellite boosting or anything?
There's a balloon that can take the
If
antenna
only we
high
had
enough to get above the
C3PO
force
text to
damping, but
speech.
it's non-directional. The Imperials can listen in.
I can encrypt.
Non-directional. Imperials can listen in.
You know, 3PO early on in this project became my favourite character to animate. And the simple reason for that is he has no lips.
It's non-directional.
So I didn't have to do any of the lip sync, which is a pain to do. It's easier now, but at the time I had to do it all manually. Thankfully, iClone have added some extra tools that make it much better. Um, but yeah, not having to do any lip sync made it so much easier, and what I had to do is put his sound in, and that was it. Jake, just wait until you see this is all rendered out.
But it's non-directional. The Imperials can listen in.
I can encrypt it so no one else will get anything out of it. Or rather, R2 can.
Except for...
Once this, it's rendered out. The rate is start again. I use ray tracing for rendering with NVIDIA Omniverse, which means it is photorealistic.
It's non-directional. The Imperials can listen in.
But just working on the scenes, I don't really do that in that kind of mode because it would
I can encrypt it so no one else will get anything out of it. Or rather, R2 can.
Except for one minor detail. If the encrypt is that good, how is Card supposed to decrypt it?
For example, this scene is several minutes long. It would probably take about 8 hours to render. So it's one of those, I'll leave it running overnight when I'm asleep kind of scenes. So as you can imagine, that's not good for working on it in progress, because if it's rendering that slowly, then it'd be impossible to do anything. Like just when I went in and zoomed in to adjust her hand just now, that would take a good minute or two, whereas I just did it in seconds.
I can encrypt it so no one else will get anything out of it. Or rather, R2 can. R2 can. Can.
That's why if you ever watch any behind the scenes footage of anything Pixar's done or something like that, what you're going to see is something a bit more basic looking like this, and then the actual render is the final result.
R2 can.
Except for one minor detail. If the encrypt is that good, how is Card supposed to decrypt it?
The computer in my X-Wing will do it for him. Someone is bound to check on the ship eventually.
Funny, isn't it? How this scheme just happens to require that I keep both of you alive a while longer. How this scheme just happens to require that I keep both of you alive a while longer. How this scheme just happens to require that I keep both of you alive a while longer. Come on. We need to find a clearing to send that balloon up before nightfall.
There we go. She is fixed, more or less. I'm going to do the same smoothing thing I did with Luke after I saved. Yeah, I'm pleased with how she's looking. So let's do that. Thank you. Just wait until you see, if you think it looks great now, just wait until it's fully rendered and the whole forest around them. I've already done one scene in the forest, and I can't wait for you guys to see it because it looks like they're really there. I mean, yeah. You could almost believe that I took some people dressed up as Luke and Mara into the forest and filmed them rather than just animated them. Flatten. Waiting with bated breath. Me too. I mean, I was so thrilled with the way that turned out, that other scene. So just running the smoothing process on Mara. It's done. So right, let's watch through. Let's say about here. Put the camera there. Let's watch through and see how it looks. And Luke's gone off the side.
Thank you for not turning me over.
Save it. There was nothing altruistic about it. I can't walk into their arms until I know the story Card has to spin about what happened. 3 days.
3 days to what?
Civilization. Well, Hilliard City. Which is about as close as this planet gets to it.
And how many of us will be going there?
That's the question, isn't it? Can you give me any reason why I should bother taking you?
Sure. R2.
Don't be absurd, it knows too much.
He also has sensors that can spot predators before they get close enough to strike. And he'll be able to watch while we're sleeping.
We?
I don't think he'd be willing to protect you unless I'm along.
I can get along without him. And I certainly don't need you.
Are you sure you're not letting your emotions get in the way of your judgment?
Let me tell you something, Skywalker. I've wanted to kill you for a long time. I dreamed about your death every night. I dreamed it, plotted it, run through 1,000 scenarios. You can call it a cloud on my judgment if you want, but I'm used to it. It's the closest thing I've got to a permanent companion.
What did I do to you?
You destroyed my life. It's only fair that I destroy yours.
Will killing me bring your old life back?
You know better than that.
What about Card? I thought he still wanted me kept alive.
We all want things we can't have.
Wait a minute. You said you needed to find out what Card told the Imperials. What if I could get you a secure comm channel to him?
How?
Does the comm link have enough range to reach back to base without the satellite boosting or anything?
There's a balloon that can take the antenna high enough to get above the forest damping, but it's non-directional. The Imperials can listen in.
I can encrypt it, so no one else will get anything out of it. Or rather, R2 can.
Except for one minor detail. If the encrypt is that good, how is Card supposed to decrypt it?
The computer in my X-Wing will do it for him. Someone is bound to check on the ship eventually.
Funny, isn't it? How this scheme just happens to require that I keep both of you alive a while longer. Come on. We need to find a clearing to send that balloon up before nightfall.
Yep, I am very happy with that. One thing I'm going to adjust quickly is just got the datapad in our hands the entire time. Super excited. Good. I'm glad you're excited. I am excited for you to see it. I love Mara Jade so much. Me too. And I'm really enjoying her performance in this. She's kind of snappy and irritable, the way you'd expect her to be. I think Elizabeth, who voices the character, has had a great time doing it as well. Looks great. It looks great. Yes, it does. And I'm excited to finish it and see it all really done. So I'm glad you guys are liking what you see so far. So let's adjust the datapad. I think it's safe to say she would have it there. So iClone has the option that you can turn objects on and off, but that doesn't translate over to the Omniverse renderer. So my trick is to adjust the position of objects I need to disappear so they're deep underground or somewhere so far away that they're not going to show up. And then they just... So at the moment she's holding it way down off the bottom of the ground. And then when she moves it here, it's in her hand.
Thank you for not turning me over.
Save it. There was nothing altruistic about it. I can't walk into their arms until I know the story Card has to spin about what happened. 3 days.
Let's get the position right for this one. Okay, irritation is great. You know what? I'm going to pass that on to her. So, datapad goes there, clicks away.
3 days to what?
Civilization.
There we go. So it looks like she's put it away.
3 days to what?
Yeah, saving that. And I'm going to do one more thing on the stream before I call it a night. This will take a couple more minutes though. So as you saw, I smoothed the actual character animation. Now it's time to do the same for the lip movement. So we'll start with Mara. The actress really understood Mara's point of view. Yeah, she really did. I don't think you can see what I'm doing, but I've got a little window up, and it's setting the style of lip movement so that when she talks it's actually smoother than the normal default settings. It's a little bit of a tedious process, but it's necessary and nowhere near as long and drawn out as the previous lip sync tools were. Let's just say that I would, if I was still using the older lip sync tools, I would be really dreading this scene because I'd have to do it all manually. And that was boring. No matter how good the scene is, there's a point where you just don't enjoy that particular task. Of any task of animating scenes for this project or anything else, it was always the lip sync that I hated most. Now it's all done pretty smoothly. Just a lot of button pressing to select the right settings, but then it does all the hard work automatically. It's a lot tedious to get right on lipstick with manual. Yeah. I forget which chapter I was working on when they actually added the better lip sync tools. But quite a few of the early chapters of Heir to the Empire, I was doing manual lip sync. And I hated it. I'm trying to think. Where was I when it... Yeah, I can't remember when they brought in the new feature. So there's two smooth options. There's one which is the talking styles, which is where you can select a general tone, so it's smooth. Well, there's a default. There's many default ones, or variations of the default ones, and then there's shouting, whispering, smooth, and so on. I always go for smooth because it just makes the mouth move. That's a good reason to use like the yelling or something like that. I always go for smooth because it makes the mouth look more naturally when it moves. But let's have a look. I've just done Mara. Oh, and then there's another smooth option as well, which I've just gone through. So let's check it out.
Thank you for not turning me over.
Save it. There was nothing altruistic about it. I can't walk into their arms until I know the story Card has to spin about what happened.
That's much better.
3 days.
3 days to what?
Civilization. Well, Hilliard City. Which is about as close as this planet gets to it.
And how many of us will be going there?
That's the question, isn't it? Can you give me any reason why I should bother taking you?
Sure. R2.
Don't be absurd, it knows too much.
He also has sensors that can spot predators before they get close enough to strike. And he'll be able to watch while we're sleeping.
We?
I don't think he'd be willing to protect you unless I'm along.
I can get along without him, and I certainly don't need you.
Are you sure you're not letting your emotions get in the way of your judgment?
Let me tell you something, Skywalker. I've wanted to kill you for a long time. I dreamed about your death every night. I dreamed it, plotted it, run through 1,000 scenarios. You can call it a cloud on my judgment if you want, but I'm used to it. It's the closest thing I've got to a permanent companion.
What did I do to you?
You destroyed my life. It's only fair that I destroy yours.
Will killing me bring your old life back?
You know better than that.
What about Card? I thought he still wanted me kept alive.
We all want things we can't have.
Wait a minute. You said you needed to find out what Card told the Imperials. What if I could get you a secure comm channel to him?
How?
Does the comm link have enough range to reach back to base without the satellite boosting or anything?
There's a balloon that can take the antenna high enough to get above the forest damping, but it's non-directional. The Imperials can listen in.
I can encrypt it, so no one else will get anything out of it. Or rather, R2 can.
Except for one minor detail. If the encrypt is that good, how is Card supposed to decrypt it?
The computer in my X-Wing will do it for him. Someone is bound to check on the ship eventually.
Funny, isn't it? How this scheme just happens to require that I keep both of you alive a while longer. Come on. We need to find a clearing to send that balloon up before nightfall.
Yeah, she looks great. So, got to do the same thing for Luke now. So, I'm going to basically use the exact same settings, because there's no need for anything else. I'm thinking it was the scenes where Han, Luke and Leia are on Nomad City visiting Lando when the new lip sync tool came out, because I remember using it then and it felt so good not to have to spend hours doing lip sync for longer dialogue. Well, that was a while ago. Almost there. Oh, there's a lot of tedium to get right on lip sync when it's manual. I bet at some point you lose your mind and need to walk away. Yep. There's a couple of times where I would do a really long scene and then just have to go and do something else. Like paint miniatures. I have to admit, I got so bored during one of the lockdowns, because we had 3 here in the UK, I actually took the unpainted fighters from Armada and painted those. And if you've played Armada, you know how tiny those fighters are. If you haven't, they're about the size of a fingernail. It's kind of got to run, do some writing, but as always, thank you for sharing all your work. Well, thank you so much for that super chat and your support. I wish you luck with your writing. Hope it's something you're enjoying writing. And I wish you happy holidays. Right, so Luke is all smoothed out. Saving. Yes, and clumped together the fighters are. Yeah. So I've got the Armada core set, which included some Rebel ships and Imperial ships. So I paint, because I'm mostly an Imperial player, I painted TIE fighters, but of course the TIE fighters are all uniform. At least with the Rebel ships, I can play around with the variety a little bit. So, for example, I did the basic X-Wing with the red stripes, but then I did some blue ones as well, and I did some A-Wings at different colours, and I did for the hero ships, I did Wedge. His X-Wing's slightly different to Luke's. It's got a yellow nose and the stripes a little bit different. So I managed to paint that on a tiny thumbnail size or fingernail size X-Wing. And I did Corran Horn's X-Wing as well, with the green and black. You know, because, well, why not? Squirtle Master Kenobi. If Lucasfilm made this movie with Sebastian Stan, they'd probably win a lot of fans back. Well, I kind of hope they don't make this movie, because it means I would have to stop making it, and I'm having so much fun doing this. And thank you so much for that super chat. I do appreciate that. Same with Empire, they do have hero pilots. They do. I painted some TIE interceptors with the red 181st Squadron stripe. Because it was nice to have that. Aculips seems to be working better for me lately. I don't know if they've upgraded it. I believe they have. I've just gone through the AFK. I don't know how much you've seen of the stream, but I've just gone through and did the Aculips for... Well, I did the Aculips to start with, and I've just gone through the smoothing options. But it was very painless. Also, AFK, you should check out this Thursday, the Completely Machinima podcast has a new episode released this Thursday, which I think is going to interest you quite a bit. I'm not going to say any more than that. Just check it out.
What did I do to you?
You destroyed my life. It's only fair that I destroy yours.
Will killing me bring...
So I haven't done any of the facial animation yet, just the lips. And I think I might leave that for another day, because it's 1:30 AM and I'm getting quite tired. Vault Dweller 64. It's called the Completely Machinima podcast. I'm one of the producers for it. We talk about machinima stuff. Originally it was news and films, but we've kind of got to the point where we just focus on talking about machinima videos that we find. Let me see if I can get a link for you. And one of the other producers is the voice of Sabioth. You can check it out there. Excuse me. We just started our 3rd year, because we started January 21. So we did the recording for January next year, over the weekend. But yeah, you can find all the episodes up there on the blog. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm going to call it a night there. Thank you all so much for being here in your virtual company. It's always great to chat with you, and get your feedback and discuss. Well, tonight we discussed Black Series action figures. Yeah, that was a good way to end the streaming for the year, because I suspect I won't be streaming until after the holidays. So Takara and Squirtle, thank you both so much for the super chat. That's always appreciated. I wish you all happy holidays. I'm not planning to stream over the holidays, but that may change depending on what I get up to. But assume I'm not, so I will see you all in the new year. You will have happy holidays, and Merry Sithmas, and may the Thrawn be with you, and I will see you all in the new year. So take care, and thank you all for being here. Good night.